Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Everybody, welcome back into Bayou Time News. Harry McCullough here. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and we're talking about it here, and we want to make sure everybody knows to be aware. Very important topic to our area. Join us is the District Attorney for Lafourche Parish, Christine Russell. Thank you so much for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
And Shannon Grow is worked for the Lafourche Parish Children's Advocacy Center. And we'll get to what that's not just candy over there. So we'll be talking about how that relates to your job. Tell me about this month. And I know y'all take this as a very close, part of our parish and what you guys do with abuse cases.
And Terrebonne as well. So I want to make sure I speak because y'all have a wonderful advocacy center there as well. Most of my career in the DA's office was spent handling physical and sexual abuse of children. And so this month has always been very special to me and to Shannon and to our office because it's to raise awareness for our children in our parishes. Every Friday we ask people to wear blue in support of this month. Have your office staff or you just wear something blue, go blue for our children. And I think the more that we talk about it, the more that it's something that we can discuss, the more that our children are going to be braver and braver to come forward and say, maybe if something is happening to them. And I think that's what we're seeing these days is kids are braver.
Yeah, and I agree. That's maybe one of the good things of social media, right, is to raise awareness from that part. Shannon, let's talk about, and maybe you can introduce what we're looking at here with this tub and something that I was shocked when you talk about the number of interviews. Can you fill us in on that?
Yes, this canister is actually the second canister. We did this probably 10, 15 years ago when I was just getting started, and we wanted to represent, find a way to remember every child that came through the center. So we started a little bead collection. And like I said, the first one was a little bit smaller canister, and that's had to be to a bigger one. But since I started at the center 2005-ish, we've done a little over 3,444 interviews, which means in that canister, there's over 3,000 beads.
That's an incredible number. And we were talking when you brought it out here, unbelievable number. I guess that from your standpoint, when you look at that every day, you don't just go to work and half foot it, right? That's important to what you're doing, right?
That's a child still in that glass. It's a reminder that what we're doing is speaking on behalf and standing up for those kids that come forward and finally feel the strength that they can talk and tell us about what their traumas are.
Yeah. You said that's most of your cases are involved in?
Well, I used to only handle mostly child abuse cases, but we have a special prosecutor in our office, Jason Chatinier, who handles these cases. And since Morvant was a district attorney, we've always had a specialized prosecutor. It takes someone who can really dedicate their time to work with the children, understand that these cases are different. These are different victims, and they require you to take your time and deal with them differently than you would an adult victim. And so just like in Terrebonne Parish and Lafourche, these are special cases. And so we make sure they're handled differently.
And like I said, when you look at that jar and you were saying the numbers just this year are just outrageous, it's almost 200 something.
Well, that's what we average. It's coincidentally that shortly after COVID, everything kind of came back online, and we went from roughly 170 to 200 interviews a year to, since COVID 2020-ish, I'm doing 250. 2021, right after COVID, I hit almost 300 interviews in 1 year. Right now, just this year, I'm at 79 interviews so far just this year.
Wow. Right. I mean, if you do that math, that's obviously a lot, almost one a day. I mean,
Pretty much.
Where you're getting to. I guess those of us who live in this world, right? I guess I'm trying to be optimist. I don't look at all that stuff and you guys are dealing with it all the time. Do we have a false sense of security for children like this?
You know, people always ask, are we seeing an increase in child abuse? And I think we both probably agree. I think child abuse and these acts have always been there. Oftentimes in the past, they were family secrets. And over the years, I think because of programs like this, because of awareness, because being proactive in classrooms and et cetera, our children are now realizing that they should not go through this, and they're able to tell someone they trust. So I don't think that child abuse is now just more frequent. I think our children and the public sees it differently. And so I think the more that we talk about it, the more that we say it's not right, the more that we'll see those numbers going up. And the more that we teach that usually abusers are someone that they love.
Right.
Because as you know, we always taught about stranger danger. We talked about that white van and they're looking for their lost puppy. But what we need to teach is sometimes people that we love do things to us that are inappropriate. And I think the more that we teach that, I think we'll again see those numbers rise.
Is this a cultural thing or is this nationwide?
Nationwide.
Okay, so it's not just our area.
Absolutely not.
What's the spectrum of abuse?
Really, I'd say 70% probably sexual abuse. Then you have a large portion that's physical abuse. We do what's called exploratory style interviews, which means something's just not right. Maybe a kid's running away or so forth. So we bring them in and go, what's going on? Typically, kids run away for a purpose. What are you running away from? Then we have maybe witnesses to maybe a murder, a shooting, domestic violence. All of those fall into some smaller percentages, but a large portion of what we're doing is sexual abuse. And that's statistically across the United States. Those numbers keep those similar trends.
Right. So again, not that that's good news, but it's not just our area, right? That's just unfortunate what children have to grow up with today's society.
Absolutely.
So is that anything new though, or well, we can talk about this when we come back, but is it internet driven? Is it is it social media, that kind of stuff? So we'll take a break. We'll be right back with more Bite Time right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're talking about April as the Child Abuse Awareness Month. Christine Russell is the district attorney of Lafourche Parish. Shannon Grow works for Lafourche Parish Children's Advocacy Center. You're the forensic interviewer, so Christine was saying you were the star of the show when it comes to doing most of the work here. We were talking about social media, and so has that changed the game a little bit from social media?
I think it has, and I'll probably let Shannon answer some of that as well, but we are certainly seeing that pedophiles and people who want to harm our children or where children are located, and they're on the internet, they're on the computer, they're in video games, they're in Fortnite. And so that is where we're seeing a lot of times our children meeting adults. And I know you can maybe talk about the interviews that you have with that.
A lot of it really comes down to when these sexual abuse happens and you talk to the kids so how did y'all meet? Where did you come to meet? A lot of it comes back to, oh, well, I didn't know him in real life until we met up for the first time. It was friend added me on Snapchat, or I quick added him, and then it turned into a conversation of, hey, how you doing? And within most situations, it's literally less than a week, some type of sexual interaction has taken place. And then you'll ask him, so have you talked to him since then? Nope. He blocked me, deleted me. It was just one of those.
Exploiting them as,
got
using that.
what he needed in that particular situation. And then there's other ones that, when you speak exploitation,
Blackmail.
the blackmail images being sent back and forth. Maybe it's not a true meetup, but it's talking that child into sending one image, and one image now becomes 5, 10 because now they're threatening to, I know, because during their conversations is, oh, so where do you live? What's your mom's name? And pulls information like that out of it that turns into, well, if you don't send it to me, I'm going to tell your mom all these things you did.
Right.
Or send me money for it. So it has turned into those types of.
Yeah, I've been reading about that. That generation, I guess Gen Z has kind of been raised with the internet. It's a little different. We were overprotective as parents from them going in their community, but underprotective of this computer that they have, that they go to your room, they're safe, but they're on the World Wide Web.
And with these child exploiters, I've seen as young as 7-year-olds get caught up on sending images online because of just being on a parent's Snapchat or an Instagram or something like that.
Yeah, that is brutal. So, so the next step, what about your program and what's going on next?
So we are always sort of proactive, and we're going to continue to do that. Shannon, and when I can, I go along with him. We are in the schools. Shannon has programs for pretty much every age group, as well as parent presentations. He talks about internet safety, tells children how to protect themselves on the internet, and as well as teaching parents how to protect your children and what we're seeing in our offices. He and I probably, when you first started, I think, decided to sort of get in our classrooms and talk about good touch, bad touch. And what we learned was after almost every presentation, he ended up with an interview. And so knew we were on to something. And so the program developed from good touch, bad touch to now what it is, which is sexting and cyberbullying, and then internet safety, and then teaching parents how to maybe get through Snapchat, how to some things they need to do to keep their children safe. And so we are finding with our center, the more proactive that we're being, the more that he gets out there and kids see, oh, that's the person that I'm going to talk to. I think we're going to continue to see those interviews going up. And we want to continue to talk about our advocacy center. There's one in Terrebonne. We need children to know there's places that are going to help you once you are able to talk about what's going on.
Right. Shannon, are you seeing that? I think I was going to ask you, what can we do? But she just said being more proactive is the best way to do it, right? But what can parents do when they think they're doing everything right, but their kids may be slipping into a place they don't know about?
My recommendation for that is open lines of communication between parents. That's when I give presentations to parents. It's learn to talk to your kids, learn to see trends in your kids' behaviors. You know your child better than we do. And if you have any concerns, law enforcement is always somebody you can call, and they can help take it to a next level if need be, based off the information that you provide them. The center, once children do come to the center, though, we've finally added a counseling component that started last year. And since then, we've had a little over 200 kids come back to the center on weekly basis to receive counseling through the center that is free of charge to the children, and parents have to provide transportation for it.
So you have seen a little difference when we talked about in the beginning, 70% of the people there was somebody they knew. Now it seems like it's maybe people they don't know.
I think we're considering that people they know, because eventually a relationship develops.
I got you.
Those kind of cases, I think, when you talk about someone, I think the public is always afraid that we're seeing these kids getting grabbed at Target and
Right.
these things that we're not seeing that. And I think we really have to have conversations when they're extremely little, 4 and 5 years old, when we talk about good touch, bad touch, that we make sure that we include not just strangers, that we talk about that sometimes people that we love can hurt us.
Yeah. Well, you see, Florida's already starting the social media below 16 to kind of do away with it, kind of maybe put phones away during school hours on.
Yeah.
Is that something we should be looking for as a society, maybe in Louisiana as well?
I think parents need to parent best for their child, and everybody has different ways to do that. I think one of the things that we try to tell parents is just educate yourself. You can Google best parental guidelines for internet safety, and they'll give you apps. It is. You can Google it, and they'll give you all the apps that you can do to make sure that you're putting precautions on or safety measures on certain apps and those things. So I think the number one thing parents need to do is educate themselves, because your children are very educated on social media. You need to educate yourself so you can make some parental decisions.
All right. Well, Shannon, Christine, we appreciate it. It is Child Abuse Awareness Month in April. So, guys, thanks
Wear
so
blue.
much. Yeah, wear blue. All right. We'll be right back with more Bite Time right after this.